high school football media days, and that is Opelika High School. Since Eric Speakman took over at Opelika, they were 6A, made the move to 7A last season. Coach Speakman's 41-19, entering his 6th season as football coach at Opelika High School. And last year, I know expectations are very high at Opelika. This team did not make the playoffs last year, went 5-5. One thing about this team last season was they were leading or were tied in every game they lost. So just a little tweak there, and boy, that season could have really been turned around. I know expectations are really high this season, and he's got a great group of kids here, a couple of them here to my right and left. And Coach will bring up now Coach Eric Speakman, head coach of the Opelika Bulldogs.
Hey, good morning. I want to thank Van, D-Mark, Jeff, all the kicker crew for doing this, year 6. Great idea, I guess about 7 years ago, to put this on. It is definitely one of the first class events across the state, and I want to thank all the media guys for coming over. Jack, congratulations. Big move for you there. So just talk a little bit about our program right now. We've hired 3 new coaches in the all season. We hired a defensive line coach last week. Eric Howell came in from Texas. His son is Kason Howell that played at Auburn University, so he was looking to get closer to this area, and we were fortunate to hire him. He's got 29 years of experience, so he was an All-American linebacker at Harding University, so brings a lot of knowledge and experience to our staff. We hired Larry Cobb to coach receivers. Larry's a young guy, ton of energy. If it's 2 in the morning, he may be up there with the receivers working out. I mean, I'm having to actually tell him there are times that we need a break. I got a message from his head coach, Tom Causey, coached him at Demopolis, and you have certain guys in your network that if they call you and they say hire somebody, you hire them. So he was one of those guys. Coach Causey called about Larry, and we've enjoyed having him. And then we hired Trey Fettner, who was the head baseball coach at Hanley, and we're going to bring him in to coach linebackers. Trey played at Woodland and then played at South. He played football and baseball at South Alabama. So we're looking forward to having those 3 guys join our group. We finished our summer workouts this morning with what we call the snake. So you can check our social media accounts and see what went on today at Bulldog Stadium. A lot of hard work and a lot of water. So we basically hose them down at the end, as these guys can attest to. We tell them bring a change of clothes because you're going to be wet when you get done. Then we end with a slip and slide, some ice cream and watermelon, just to kind of end the summer. So good way to do that. So we had 101 kids out there today that went through that. We've got 2 that were out of town that will then get to do it on Friday, the first Friday after practice. Okay, so they know that going into it, and you would be amazed at the attendance numbers on the day of the snake, because you are not, we tell them, you are not on this team until you complete the snake. And so we did that this morning, had a really good group. This year's team has 22 seniors. Last year I think we were close to 29 or 30. A little bit smaller group than we've had in the past, but a lot of this goes back to these guys were in 8th grade when all the COVID stuff hit. So they were the ones that we never really got to know in middle school coming up with us in the spring. And then that 9th grade, going into their 9th grade summer, was all the crazy workout stuff we had to do. So we're trying to track them down. We're doing it virtual, all those things. So our numbers with this class are not as big, but our quality is there like it always is. It's a really good group of seniors. Now, I thought about bringing 9 guys since Coach Etheridge brought 8 yesterday. But with this group, I don't have 9 talkers, I have 2. So we brought these 2 guys. We brought our quarterback, Roman Gagliano, and one of our corners, Jamarcus Phillips. So hopefully they'll answer some questions for you here in a little bit. But we're excited about this year. This is year 2 for us. As Van mentioned, in 7A, last year we struggled. We saw some growing pains of what we're facing each week with playing the different size schools that we had to play with that jump. But we competed, and you hate to say it, there's no moral victories, but we lost 3 of those games by a combined 18 points. So you're 1 possession away from being really 9-1, 1 possession in each of those games. So we're hoping that carries over to this year. As I was coming over here today and kind of wrote down the guys returning, there was a ton of snaps from last year. We got that played, significant snaps last year. So that goes to a lot of sophomores that played last year, and then these guys. And then y'all probably heard we're going to play Thompson week 1. I don't know if that's hit the news yet, but we just scheduled Opelika. I might have to talk with them later. But little just sidebar on that. We lost our game with Callaway because the Georgia schools can start a week earlier than us this year. So Georgia rules they can start August 1st. We can start August 7th this year. So that kind of put us a week behind them. So we can't play Callaway. So I start calling around. I called 7 different schools, and nobody would play. 2 guys didn't even call me back. And so that says a lot about these guys and the program that we've had over the 30 plus years that Opelika's really been good. And so I got a call from the state office, and that's usually never a good call. It's like, what are we getting fined for now? And they asked us to play Thompson in the, I think they call it the Kickoff Classic now. And I was like, wow, you know, have you seen our schedule already? You know, it's basically the 7A top 10 is who we play. And so I talked with some of the coaches, and they were, you know, hey, let's go do it. You know, that's what we always pride ourselves on. If we're going to talk about it all the time with these kids, then we need to do something like that. And so I brought it up to them, and they were excited. In fact, 2 of the guys actually came after and said, can you get Saraland to play us too? So that kind of shows you the attitude of some of these kids. I kind of had to tone him down a little bit, remind him that, you know, we need to just, let's worry about Thompson. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys for any questions. I know you'd rather find out more about that than what I can give you.
Yeah, Eric, I was going to ask you about Thompson. What can you gain from starting the season with a game like that?
Well, it brings a lot of excitement, number one, you know, to play the 4-time defending state champion and the program that Coach Freeman's built up there. And then to get to go play it in a neutral site in Montgomery, where it's kind of one of the premier games that going into that weekend to open the season. But it really brings a lot of energy to your summer, you know, because they know what's ahead of them. It's not, you know, no slight against Callaway or any other team that you play, but, you know, you get excited about playing Callaway because those have been some really good games going back and forth the last couple of times we played them. But when you get a chance to play Thompson and what they've done, you know, we probably announced it in March maybe, and you can just kind of see a different attitude going into the weightlifting and the running and the summer practice.
Question goes to Roman. Looking ahead to August 25th, of course, against Thompson. We know the quarterback that Trent Seaborn is, but we also know how elite you can be as well. How excited are you looking for that matchup?
Oh yeah, that's probably the one we have circled. It's obviously the first game, and you know, that's kind of the day we have marked. But yeah, Trent, great kid, really good. They have a really good team over there. But you know, I have full confidence in Coach Speakman and our coaching staff and all our players that we're going to go up there, we're going to make them earn the win. We're not going to go up there and lay down for them, so really excited about that.
This question is here we go. This question is for Coach. You mentioned that you had several games last season that were very close losses. How do you turn that around? You guys were a couple plays away from being not just in the playoffs, but a top team in the playoffs. So how do you fix that this year?
I think the biggest thing is, you know, you're always talking to your kids about the 5 or 6 plays that make a difference in the game, and little things matter, and all those things that we, you know, every coach gets up here, and you've probably heard that, all those sayings for, you know, the previous 21 schools. But I think when you actually lose a game because of it, it means a little bit more, you know, because now you can prove to them. When you win games like that, it's hard to get it to sink into the kids because they won. But when you're losing games and then all of a sudden you don't make the playoffs for the first time since 2009, you know, because we've been in the 3rd round or 4th round or state championship games 7 straight years. And then all of a sudden you're done before Halloween, that really kind of puts a little bit of perspective on it, because now you're out trick-or-treating. You know, I've never want to, you know, I like trick-or-treating and have fun scaring people, but I'd rather be doing football practice. And last year we got to do all the trick-or-treating we wanted to, so we're going to make sure this year that we are at football practice while everybody's out getting all the candy.
Coach, we talked about last year, some of the wins you had, including that big one against Central, just kind of looking to really retool and reload. Kind of going forward just this year, how do you really hope to navigate your team to kind of pick up that success from last year and really pick up and possibly go further this year?
Yeah, you know, we started out 4-0 last year, and we kind of talked about, you know, the Central win, because that was a big one, obviously. Central, Auburn, and, you know, used to be Benjamin Russell, were kind of always the 3 rivals for us, and now it's really just Central and Auburn are the 2 biggest. And just making sure last year that wasn't the end of the season. You know, it doesn't stop now at 4-0 and beating Central. And we went and played a tough game against Prattville and lost in overtime. And And after that, we had those just close losses other than Auburn. Auburn kind of pulled away from us there in the second half, but everything was a close loss. And so you have to just really just go back, and what we'll do this year is we'll go back and talk about those things of a play here, a play there, somebody, lining up all sides, somebody not on offense, not being on the line of scrimmage on a touchdown that gets called back, that then you end up losing the game by 6 or 7 points. Those are the differences in the game. So are we as coaches and players going to do what it takes to change those things? And this group has done a great job in the off season, as they always do. And now we just have to take it into. So we'll be off next week. We did a traditional spring, and so we'll start back on August 7th. So at that point, we'll start it all over. And the focus now is on doing the little things right, making sure we're here on time, acting right in the classroom, all the things we always talk about as far as off the field that translates to success on the field.
All right, question for Jamarcus. Talk a little bit about the defense. Defense is always solid at Opelika. I know, you've probably seen some talented quarterbacks already here in the summer. Some you'll see, coming up. And just talk about the defense just in general and the defensive backs.
For defense, we lost a couple of folks last year, but with having a small group of seniors that's starting on the field, we have some dogs on the team, and we're not scared of anybody on the schedule. We're ready to compete for anybody on the schedule.
Talk about those big guys up front too. You got some big men up front on the defensive line.
Malik Archery and Amari Smalley and a couple more folks. But if I was them, I'd be scared of them too. They're gonna get ready to every play.
Question for you, Roman. What about scrimmaging against that defense? I know you've seen them in the past, but coming into the fall camp, I know that's going to be a challenge.
Yes, sir. That's really getting our O-line right. Having those. You forgot to mention Ja'Kai Lightfoot and Allen Jackson. They're also on the starting 4 up there in net. Man, that's some big dudes. They're fast, good with their hands. So that's really pushing our O-line. Kind of pushing the offense in general. Kind of getting the ball out quicker. Technique-wise, because that's the only way you're going to beat those guys. You got to have better technique. So, yeah, happy to have them on our side. I'm not running from them, so good luck to everybody else who has to.
Yeah, this is for both of the players and coach. Every team that's come up here says we're in the toughest region in the state and we've got the toughest schedule in the state. I don't think anybody has a schedule like Opelika has this year. You're playing top 10 teams in 7A and 6A. I think out of your schedule, you got about 7 ranked teams. What kind of motivation is that for you?
Well, I think, that means you can't ever take a week off, which as a coach makes you excited. We've had some teams in the past that I've been, this is my year 24 at Opelika. We've had some teams that you really have to motivate your guys to get ready for each week. No knock on those schools, but it's just the way it is. There's not one of those on this schedule. So we know every week when we come in, and we whatever the result was from the previous Friday, we put it to bed and it's ready to go to work the next week. So you don't have to worry as a coach that your kids are going to be focused every week. Because with this schedule, it is definitely, like you said, it's every week is a new challenge with a really good team in front of you. So we'll focus on that and then play it out on Friday and then start it over on Monday. I'll let Roman and JB come up now.
Yeah, so you talk about the tough schedule, and I feel like all of our players' mindset is we're the underdogs. So, we kind of have that chip on our shoulder that, we're kind of favored to not win every game. And, that's disrespectful with how we take it. So every day in the weight room, that's what we think about, and that's kind of how we're thinking. Just go prove everybody wrong. So I'm thankful for that, obviously. You got to have a good head on your shoulders. So that kind of just adds the cherry on top to every win we're going to get.
First time seeing our schedule, everybody out of school saying we're gonna go 5-5 again. But we got to prove everybody wrong, and we're gonna work hard by this summer, and we got something to prove.
All right, thanks so much, Coach Speakman. We appreciate y'all being here. Any final thoughts or comments?
One thing I want to tell Coach Grider is probably listening, driving back. The best quarterback in the state is wearing the Opelika jersey. So let Coach Grider, I'll text him that later. I heard his comment. His quarterback's really good, and ours is too. So just messing with the Smitty there. But hey, thank y'all again for coming out and doing this. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate all the focus you put on high school sports.
Thanks so much, Coach Eric. Speaking of Opelika Bulldogs, we'll send it over to D-Mark and Jeff.
Make your way to Glenn Smith Chevrolet. Check out the powerful Silverado 4-wheel drive-through cab. Discounted up to $12,250 off. Chevy Equinox up to $5,250 off. Shop online anytime at glennsmith.com. That's GLYNN Smith.com. Plus, no payments for 120 days at Glenn Smith Chevrolet.
Over 250 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way to Glenn Smith and Opelika. Get ready to smile.